Readers Entertainment Radio presents Booklights with your host, author Lisa Kessler. Booklights, where we're shining a light on good books.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back. It's Monday. This was a busy weekend. Last weekend we had Easter and Passover and Ramadan and a full moon. Woo! I hope everyone had a great weekend. I feel exhausted, but here I am. I'm very excited today because you all are going to get to meet Elle Marr. She is a fantastic thriller writer, and she has a brand new book that will be released on May 1st, but it actually got picked to be an Amazon First Read, I saw, so you can get it early if you're part of the Amazon First Reads. So if you haven't read Elle yet, you're in for a treat. I'll just read her bio here really quick so you can get to know her. Elle Marr is the #1 Amazon charts best-selling author of The Missing Sister and Lies We Bury. She graduated from UC San Diego before moving to France, where she earned a master's degree from the Sorbonne University in Paris. She's originally from Sacramento and now lives in Oregon with her husband, son, and one very demanding feline. I did put a link to her website right there on Blog Talk, so if you are listening live or if you're listening later, you can click that link anytime and check out her books. She also has a little blog of news and events there. You can see secret things of what's coming next, and also I believe she has a newsletter you can sign up for too. So hop over there when you get a chance, and I don't want to delay any longer. Elle, are you there?
I am. Lisa, you covered just about everything. Thank you.
You're welcome. And we have a connection because I am a San Diego native. I'm currently transplanted in Florida, but been in San Diego my whole life. So you're UC San Diego, so that's a nice connection there. Yeah. Did you enjoy San Diego while you were there?
Oh, I loved it. I was there for 5 years, and I really didn't ever want to leave.
Right?
It's such
hard
a great
to
spot.
leave. Yeah,
absolutely. I'm tempted to go back at some point.
Right? You need to set a book there, and then it can be book research.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Actually, part of my debut thriller, The Missing Sister, was set in San Diego, but that was years ago now. So I need to write another book. You're right. Absolutely.
Yeah, there you go. It's time. So do you want to tell everybody about The Strangers We Know and why they should go pre-order it right now?
Absolutely. I would love to. Strangers We Know is a book of my heart. It's inspired by true crime headlines as well as my own experience with genetics testing. Strangers We Know follows the main character, Ivy Hahn, who was adopted as a baby and who as an adult takes a genetics test to learn more about an undiagnosed illness that has baffled her doctors. But the results attract the FBI, who share that, according to Ivy's DNA, she's related to the full moon killer, a predator who has terrorized the Pacific Northwest for decades. Not the news you want to hear, right?
Right.
So when an online search connects Ivy with her younger cousin, she heads to Rock Island, Washington to learn more about this woman. And there, Ivy discovers her mother's tragic fate, her father's disappearance, and as she ventures further into a serial killer's home territory, she realizes she may be the next victim of poisonous blood ties.
Ooh.
So from there, you have to read Strangers We Know to find out what happens to Ivy, but it was so much fun writing it, and I truly just had the best time researching it as well. I think there's a lot to be discussed and discovered relating to genetics testing these days, and with Ancestry platforms and 23andMe, and just thinking about the long-term revelations and repercussions from that. And definitely Strangers We Know took its inspiration from that.
Oh, very cool. And have you done the genetics testing? My daughter did it. I have not, but it was very interesting. And, it's very odd, I think, to find all of these connections that you never knew about and no one on your side of the family knew about. So have you tried that?
Yes, I have. Actually, my mother is adopted, and so as the child of an adoptee, I had always had a personal interest in these genetics testing platforms as they developed over the years. So I did do I submitted my own spit sample and sent it in via the mail and was very anxious to find out the results. Nothing too exciting there, but I did actually connect with our biological family from those results, and I'm very pleased to have a good relationship with them to this day.
Oh, that's fantastic. So you were not related to a serial killer.
Well, they don't exactly have that in your test results. There's no tab.
There's no tab for that.
To discuss dubious relatives. But no, things seem very well. I'm happy to report.
Was your mother excited to connect with birth family? Was that the first time she had made that connection?
Yes, it was, and
wow.
She was thrilled. Of course, we all were. And to Ivy's point, to my main character Ivy's point, I had always been curious about our medical history. My family is very fortunate. My mother's very fortunate in that she needed nothing more than her parents, who are her adoptive parents, growing up, and likewise, my grandparents were just amazing people. So I always wanted to seek out more information just for medical knowledge, just to know what might lie ahead. So I got some clarity there, and then also managed to gain some great new relationships with people that I'm related to by blood.
Oh, I love that. That's so cool. And you must be very interested in like all the true crime documentaries and things. You mentioned that about the book. Are you a sucker for those? I know I am.
Yes, I think sucker is the right word for it. I am definitely a consumer. And I think it's really interesting the way that true crime as a whole, as a genre, both across literature and podcasts and movies and shows, has really exploded the last, couple of decades. I think it's really as consumers, because there's a delicate balance between consuming that kind of content and, voyeurism. And I think as consumers, we're really trying to figure out how we're trying to understand something totally incomprehensible, some atrocious act that doesn't make sense to most people but made sense to this person, and how those repercussions really ripple across the families. So I think in writing about, certainly for Strangers We Know, and taking its inspiration from true crime, my intent is really to shine a spotlight on a different subset of that genre relating to genetics testing, and then also to really focus in on the families that are affected by it, both from the victim's perspective and the perpetrator. And I hope that readers grasp onto that intent when they read Strangers We Know.
And I think because it deals with, DNA and genetics testing, does your book dive in a little bit to nature versus nurture? I mean, when you find out you're related to a serial killer, is there suddenly a fear that is bloodlust in my DNA?
Yes. Yes, exactly. You hit the nail on the head. There are definitely questions of nature versus nurture. And I think, being the child of an adoptee myself, I have wondered those same things of how much an environment shaped me versus what lies dormant in my genes. And Ivy has those same conversations with herself around, what does this mean? Does this change who I am? Am I fully formed by the people who loved me and raised me? Or is there something else lurking within my DNA? Which I think is an interesting journey that she goes on, fueled by those questions.
Right. Oh, that's very cool. And when you were writing this book, because I'm a writer too, and I go down these research holes, and suddenly I'm an expert on whatever. Did you go down a giant research hole about DNA?
Oh, yes, I did. I really did. And certainly not, I won't toot my own horn too much, obviously. I don't want to misrepresent myself. Not from a purely scientific perspective, but certainly from learning how DNA has been utilized from crime scenes to this point, and how that research and science has evolved in the courtroom, and also how much there is left for us to understand. The law is still catching up to all of the revelations that are possible from DNA testing and from national databases where participants may upload their results of their own accord. So it will be, I think, fascinating in the next decade, 2 decades, to see how DNA testing changes the law and what police investigators are able to utilize and what is barred for privacy purposes. So, yes,
right.
A serious rabbit hole.
Yes. Well, as a connoisseur of true crime on Netflix documentaries, I was shocked when I watched, there's some new one about like the Times Square killer from the 70s and how they didn't have DNA back then. And I was, it was amazing watching, what they tried to do to catch someone, because DNA is such a huge game changer for, I would think it's much harder to be a serial killer today as opposed to, back then, when if they didn't have a fingerprint, there was nothing. How have you seen that? Do you run into that in writing your thrillers about, how the science is constantly changing?
Yes, absolutely. And I know that documentary that you're referencing. I just saw it. I haven't watched it myself. But everything about, prior to the early 2000s just strikes me as so much more difficult and nuanced, and sometimes ambiguous, to where it's impressive the number of convictions that were made, and also worrisome the number of wrongful convictions as well. That's why we have the Innocence Project. Right.
Yeah.
And so it has been really interesting for me to see that evolution in my research, and it's brought me a greater appreciation for both what we know and what we don't.
Yeah, for sure. And our listeners usually lean toward reading, so I try to, ask questions readers would be interested in. And what we hear about a lot is, especially with thriller writers, is are you a big-time outliner? Or do you have the whole thing planned out before you write it, or are you figuring it out as you go? Are you just as surprised as your main character?
Sometimes I am just as surprised, and I think that's part of the magic of writing for me. I do outline. I must outline it. Writing under contract for me requires outlining and knowing a roadmap in advance. However, I make some pit stops. I do some U-turns. I go off on these fields of off-roading, and I do some discovery as well, in addition to my clear outlined map of the story. And that's what makes writing fun for me, consistently. That's why I wouldn't do anything else. I will say, since you mentioned that your readers or your listeners are distinctly readers, there are some really great books that I also use for research, like I'll Be Gone in the Dark by Michelle McNamara. Have you read that, Lisa?
No, I haven't.
Oh, it's fascinating.
I'll Be Gone in the Dark.
I'll Be Gone in the Dark.
What's it about?
Yeah, it's about, it's written by Michelle McNamara, and it's a study of the Golden State Killer, which was also he was first known as the East Area Rapist, and he actually began his crimes in Sacramento, where I'm from, in Sacramento, California, and he went uncaptured for, I think, 3 or 4 decades. And when I first learned about him, I was shocked that someone could elude capture and identification for decades. But to our original point, the science was not really there in the 70s to really, really facilitate that quickly. And so Michelle McNamara in I'll Be Gone in the Dark goes through all of the research surrounding the Golden State Killer. And then she actually passed away from an untimely death a couple of years before he was actually identified. So it's really interesting to go back and review her notes and her detailed research on this criminal, and then also bring to it as a reader the hindsight of knowing he's been identified, knowing much more about his crimes and the ripple effects of his crimes and his motivations, after a few years. He was arrested in 2018, and he was convicted in his trial in 2020. So this book, and certainly the true crime headline of The Golden State Killer, were also big influences on me as I was writing Strangers We Know.
Right. Yeah. And it's interesting, since the book came out before he was captured, after he's captured, you have all of these facts and you can compare them to, were they on the right track or not? And that would be really interesting.
Exactly. Yeah.
So what was your favorite scene in The Strangers We Know? Which scene will stick with you long after you've written other books?
Oh, my goodness. That's a great question.
And I know in a thriller it's hard because, you don't want to spoil anything, but can you do it without spoiling?
Yes, I can. And it's like choosing your children, right? You spend so much time with these different chapters and these scenes, and it's hard to choose, but I will. I'll be a good guest. Certainly, and without spoilers, I'm sorry to do this to listeners, but the ending, I really enjoyed writing the ending. I'm terrible at Freudian slips, so I'm going to speak slowly. and I would say there is a camping scene that I really enjoyed writing, not because it was a fun scene, but it was pivotal on a few levels. It demonstrated a few different levels of growth for this specific character. So I hope that readers stumble across that camping scene and find that to be intriguing as well.
Nice. And in your book, is there, I know often in thrillers there's some kind of, a romantic subplot. Does she meet someone who helps her, through all this, or is there anything like that in the book?
There is a romantic subplot, but I really I don't write significant romances in my stories. They are I think they're true to life, and sometimes when we're journeying on really tense, friction-filled experiences, like my characters often are, we don't always have the right googly eyes for the attractive person across the table from us. So I haven't written like a full thriller romance yet, but in this book, in Strangers We Know, there is a flirtation that develops into something else.
Okay. Did you have any big surprises while you were writing it? You said you take pit stops. Was there somebody who showed up on the page and you were like, what? Did you have a big surprise in there?
Yes, I did. I had a few different surprises. As I map out my outline, I also map out my characters. And as I'm writing the story and becoming better acquainted with those characters, I'm learning they do different things than I would have expected of them. They are reacting in ways that I didn't map out, that we didn't agree to up front.
Right, those wily characters.
There were some surprises. Yes, very wily. Exactly is the right word.
Usually for me, it's very fun when they do that, but occasionally you're like, what? Don't. What are you doing?
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes it takes me a little while. I don't know if you feel the same way, Lisa, but sometimes it takes me a little while to accept that they would do this different action than what I had planned for them. I'm in denial for at least a couple of more pages.
A little righteous indignation.
Yes, exactly. Well put.
So what did your writing journey look like? Our readers are always really interested because now there's so many paths to get published and all that kind of thing than there were even 10 years ago. How did you always want to write? How did you finally see your first book published?
That's a great question, and it's one that I was really intrigued by when I was writing before I got my literary agent and my publisher. You mentioned 10 years. I started writing 10 years ago later this fall during National Novel Writing Month, NaNoWriMo.
Ah, NaNoWriMo, yeah.
Good old NaNoWriMo. Have you done NaNoWriMo?
You know what? I never finish NaNoWriMo, and it's funny because I can write 50,000 words in a month. I do it often, but I never do because it's always in November. And, there's traveling and Thanksgiving. I'm like, they pick like the worst month. So I've never finished. I have started many times.
Yes, and I think a lot of people feel that way. I would love to know the founders' thinking in choosing November.
Yeah, I'm
such a
like,
daunting
could it have been July?
Yeah, exactly. That's a great question. We should ask that person.
Right.
So I got my start writing actually while I was in France. I was snowed in one winter, and thought I would give NaNoWriMo a whirl, and I fell in love with writing novels. I had written shorter stories and smaller chapters, but never written a full-length novel or novella, 50,000 words. And that experience proved to me that it was possible. And so I kept writing after that and eventually created a story that became my debut thriller, The Missing Sister.
Oh, that's so cool. And did you were you studying to be a writer in school, or was this just a right turn that you took in life?
This was a right turn. It was the moment was right. I had some time. I was teaching at a local university in France, in Normandy, sociology and psychology as it happens, and I just had more time than I expected. So I sat down and attempted it and found that it was a really cathartic and great means of waking me up excited.
Oh, I love that. And so I guess if your background is in sociology and psychology, that probably works really well for a thriller writer, because do you tap into that when you're coming up with your, killer psyches and stuff like that?
I try. I certainly try. And to be totally transparent, I had no business teaching sociology and psychology. I don't have a bachelor's background in that. No. I studied different areas. So before I mislead your listeners, I was taught the content. I was given the content, and then I taught the content to students of English. So because I'm a native English speaker with a college degree, then I was then hired for this role. So I learned on the job, but it taught me a lot about sociology and psychology, and it really allowed me to tap into existing interests that I had. I've always been interested in psych and social classes, and had taken a fair few myself. So truly that experience and the research and education I had as I was teaching in the French education system fueled much of my foundational knowledge for writing now as an author.
Oh, I love that. And I'm a little bit woo-woo out there, but I love hearing stories where people were like training for this and they didn't even know it, You had all this background and you didn't even know you needed it so that you could be a writer.
Yes, I think that's accurate, and I feel the same way. Woo is a good term. I feel the same way about those stories. It always gives me chills to think back and look and see, oh, that's where I was going when I was doing that. When I thought I was being responsible by moving to France, I was really preparing myself to be an author.
Yeah, I think that's so cool, because sometimes we do things in our life and we don't realize until you look back that was all supposed to happen. It's all amazing. It's very cool.
Yeah. Yes, I agree.
So I was poking around on your website and saw that you have another book that's going to come out. Do you want to tell everybody about what's next for you?
Yes, I'm very excited about this. It's titled The Family Bones, and it is set to come out in spring 2023. It can be pre-ordered now. The best way that I can describe it is a locked room mystery set in the rural backwoods of Eastern Oregon, where a family retreat among psychopaths goes horribly wrong. as as it is wont to do.
So it's
so I'm very
like Clue with serial killers.
Yes, with the family of serial killers, and it definitely there are echoes of the same question of nature versus nurture in this book as well. As I was writing Strangers We Know, I was imagining what would happen. Obviously, like we see concentrated kind of vignettes of criminals' lives and criminalistic activity, right? We don't really see the greater picture that surrounded that person or that accompanied that person to become the criminal that they are. And I really dug into the family dynamics of what would happen if there were multiple socially deviant personalities within one family, and that led me to write The Family Bones.
Oh, it sounds fantastic. I'm intrigued.
Thank you. I hope readers enjoy it when it comes out in another year.
Yeah, that's exciting. And I wanted to ask you, because our readers are always curious, but do you have certain authors to add to our to-be-read list, who you read and you're like, oh my gosh, I got to get back to the keyboard? You know, what kind of books really fire you up?
Yes, books with great concepts, with really great high-level concepts always make me intrigued and make me think about how I can be a better writer. Certainly, all of the greats, the ones that everyone loves, Gillian Flynn, Stephen King, I am a fan of those. But also newer authors, I think, are writing really great ideas and writing really well. In particular, one is Vanessa Lilly, who's debuted Little Voices, was published in 2019, and it just blew me away. Little Voices by Vanessa Lilly.
Okay.
The ending is incredible, and it had me immediately go back to the first chapter and read and just start rereading.
I love that.
I'm a big fan of hers. I would recommend it.
Still to this day, one of my favorite short stories ever that I always use when I'm teaching, hooks and twists and things is The Lottery, because when you get to the end of The Lottery by Shirley Jackson, you can go and go back to the beginning and see every time that she mentioned the tiny rocks that the kids were collecting. And I'm like, oh my gosh. But that's still one of the best. I love a book where you don't see the ending coming, but you can go back and see all the spots where it was laid out that you didn't notice. And, those are magical stories when they happen.
Yes, they really are. I admire plotting that's that tight. That sounds like a really great book. I have to add that to my list.
Oh, yeah. If you've never read Shirley Jackson's The Lottery, it's only a short story. I think it's 10,000 words, but it will stick with you for your whole life. It's something.
Wow. It sounds like it.
It's a classic for a reason.
Check it out.
Okay.
Exactly.
Well, we're rapidly running out of time, but I wanted to find out how you connect with readers. Are you on social media? Should they go through your website? How can they stay in touch so they find your next book?
Thank you for asking that. I am across social media more so than I probably should be. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, believe it or not. And
I just started on TikTok.
Am very active. Oh, good. It's fun, isn't it?
It's very fun. It's very fun. I feel very awkward, but there I am.
Hey, with growth comes awkward feelings sometimes. I'm right there with you. So,
we're writers. We're supposed to be awkward, right?
Exactly. We're exploring the human experience by being on TikTok. And so you mentioned my website earlier too. Yes, exactly. And for TikTok, I'm at Elle Marr Books. Okay. Elle Marr Books, and then Twitter is Elle Marr _, and Facebook and Instagram are Elle Marr Author.
Okay, perfect. And everybody, it's MARR, 2 R's. Thanks so much for being here. It was great having you on, and good luck with The Strangers We Know. Everybody, it comes out May 1st, but if you are part of Amazon First Reads, you can get it now. So thanks so much for being here, Elle. It was great meeting you.
Thanks very much, Lisa. It was my pleasure.
Thanks for joining us on Booklights. Be sure to connect with us at www.readersentertainment.com for articles, blogs, videos, and podcasts that matter to readers.